Good evening and welcome to the City Council of Lathrup Village. And I'll call the meeting to order. City Clerk, will you take roll, please?
Yes. Roll call. Mayor Garrett.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cantor.
Present.
Councilmember Brock.
Present.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Present.
And Councilmember Stallings.
Present.
Madam Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'll invite all in the audience and the council to the pledge to say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, can I get a motion to accept the consent agreement?
Agenda.
Excuse me. Sorry, I don't know why that.
Please start your discussion.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? And I guess I should have asked, was there anything that we needed to pull out of it first, but since we
No.
have a motion already. All in favor of accepting it, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The consent agenda is approved. So the City Council will review and consider the approval of the disbursement report and investment reports. And the first one is for January 1st, 2018
Yep.
to January 15th, 2018, the total amount of $46,752.99. The second one is from January 16th, 2018 to January 31st, 2018, and the total amount of $527,294.26.
Motion to consider the disbursement report and investment report.
Is there a second?
What was the motion to approve? The
To
disbursement?
consider. Well, don't we consider first or no?
No, to
And then-
accept.
Well,
Oh, to accept.
Motion to move.
Your mission is to approve, I
Approve.
think, and then you can.
Change my
it's
motion
open
to
for-
approve
It's open for
disbursement
discussion.
report.
And then the second,
Second.
any discussion on the disbursement report? Any of them?
Yeah, I had a line item here somewhere. Sorry. Gotta find it. One second. With the Trina? No. Is it? It was a big one. It's, I had it marked here.
Probably for Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec.
101, 601.
God, can't find it now. Oh, here it is. No, down here. No, that's not it either. There's a star next to it, but I got some. Let's see.
Parks and Recreation.
That was a lot higher than that. No,
Oh, you know what?
I don't think that's it.
Now I know which one you're talking about.
Page is at 18, yeah. It was on 18. One second here.
Bring down the volume.
Supposed to be,
City beautification,
yeah, it's a,
right here.
no, yeah,
That one,
yeah.
the 16.
Yep, that's,
That was putting up the Christmas tree, taking the Christmas tree down.
Can you tell
in
us
the
what
community.
line
Oh,
item
I'm
or what
sorry.
you're talking
Sorry.
about?
This is on page 19, and it's under the 101 Government Services, 101, 100, and it is for city beautification, Hortulus Gardens, for Christmas displays, in the amount of $1,615. That was for putting up the Christmas tree, taking the Christmas tree down, doing work on the gazebo for Christmas time.
did that include the Christmas light tree outside?
No, that was a totally separate.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Anyone else have anything for the disbursement report or investment report?
Nope.
So all in favor to accept these reports, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next is City Council will consider the approval of the department reports. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? There's no discussion?
Oh.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, no, go ahead.
Okay, so there were a couple of things that, the trash can, I noticed on the trash cans in view, that have trash cans, I guess there were a lot of code enforcement issues on trash can. When are our residents supposed to, how long can they leave the trash can out? Should they pull it in? They're, right after trash is picked up that day, there were several reports for trash cans.
Okay, what is the actual time limit? Is it the same day? What does the actual
Not
ordinance say about the trash cans? So everyone can be informed of it.
Scott, do you have that
It's in the
ordinance?
newsletter.
I think it's 24 hours, but I'm trying to pull it up. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. Because I think that's something that we need to make public again with the residents, because there's several.
There's two issues. One is the one,
I'm sorry.
how early you put it out, and then also how soon you have to get
Yes.
back in. That's right.
We need to revisit that. Actually, that was on my list anyway before I saw the report, because there's a lot of trash that's starting to appear, even behind, and I don't know if that's in here, but behind that MRI building.
I saw that. It's a mess.
MRI building, mess. So that was one thing. So if we could report back, if, I don't know who does that,
That
someone
would
can
be
let
to
us.
Pam, who would let us know.
Let you know.
Pam.
So I thought it was 4 PM the night before.
4.
And then, are you still looking at it, Scott? I
I'm
think
trying
it's,
to find it right now, yeah. Yeah, while Scott's looking that up, since Donna brought it up, the MRI building, can we have somebody look? Isn't there supposed to be a dumpster back there or
We
something?
had, actually, the police were there this weekend. They took pictures of it. I got the police report today. We have handed that over for our code enforcement officer to
Okay,
take
great.
care of.
Good, good, good.
So that has come to my attention this morning, and it has been given to our code enforcement officer to take care of it.
Perfect,
So
perfect.
we
Well-
will be taking care of it.
Two different places. I believe the city, council members are talking about the MRI building across the street.
Oh.
Yes.
And we were talking about another code enforcement issue with trash that was just
Had
north of
15
here.
bags thrown
Yeah.
behind the
Oh,
building.
no,
And
we're
they're already gone.
The MRI facility across from, just south of Panera,
Okay.
whatever street that is. And there's just tons of garbage back there, and it doesn't look like, I mean, I didn't inspect it closely. I was walking the dogs, and I looked at that, and I said, wow, there's a lot of trash there. Doesn't seem like there was a dumpster at all.
Okay.
It's not.
could be
and
wrong.
And it's so vivid. You don't even have to say, I was driving in my car.
Exactly.
And it just looks terrible.
Okay, we will
And
give that
so,
to our code
okay.
enforcement officer to take care of.
Well,
Why?
It's open and obvious.
Oh, and so I do want to recommend that even if it's in our quarterly magazine, that we remind the residents about the trash cans when they should go out and when they should come in. So I know while you're doing that, the other thing was mail thefts at the Ask the Police. That was a concern that a lot of the residents are starting to experience mail theft. And what do we do? Have you heard about it? What do the residents do about that?
About mail thefts.
In their mail, from their mailbox, yeah. It seems to be happening more and more.
It's been going on for years. Our
Well,
big thing
I'm
that
starting to
we're-
hear about it more and more,
Our
so.
big thing is that we try to advise all of our residents to not place outgoing mail in their mailbox. You know, back in the day, everybody put the mail in and
Put
put
a
a red
flag
flag up. Well, that red flag is a indicator that you've got mail in there, and when people are driving around, they're pilfering that mail, and that's how a lot of our identity thefts are taking place. Now, depends on when the post office actually delivers the mail. That's very difficult for us to police. And again, I don't believe it comes on a certain time every day. I think it really depends on the route and if somebody calls in sick. So the times could change every day. So there's not a lot for us to do, or residents for them to do, except for try to be as vigilant as they can to pull out the mail as soon as they notice that it's there.
Okay, so the post office does not have consistent times that they
God,
come.
no.
No,
They can
absolutely
come
not.
anytime So the residents, we have to do some more community policing.
Actually, what, I think that someone, or actually the city manager should reach out to the postmaster of Southfield, right? To find out what's going on and have a conference with them.
We have had conferences with her in the past, and we can do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is really starting to hear it more and more now. So we need to see what we can nip. And then the other thing on the report, there was a report regarding licenses, that there's all the licenses for the businesses will be due, and that we plan to go to the businesses. I'm concerned with that because of what has happened in the last month, and like to know how you're going. What is the process and you going? Are you sending a letter out and saying we're going to have a friendly visit? Because that's the bottom line. How is this visit going to be made, and how are you going to make it comfortable for the businesses?
You talking about page 54?
Yes.
Yep.
What is it?
Page 54, let me read it to you.
The
It says,
DDA.
Lathrup businesses that exist have been off the grid and not renewed in the past years, and for whatsoever reason, will receive in-person visits in early March. This will serve as an opportunity to re-engage with those business owners. I am concerned that we need to have, I'd like to know the process of these visits so that we
So
will
that
not
would
be
be
missing,
Ken or?
so it won't be misinterpreted.
That would be
again.
Ken and
Yes.
Pam to give that
Oh.
information.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Council.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, and City Council. That was my plan to, there are a handful of businesses that have fallen through the cracks for whatever reason, perhaps it's the mail theft thing. But I'd just like to re-engage with those folks, visit them. There's no penalty. It's just an opportunity for them to renew and for us to get reacquainted so that maybe we could get better involved with the community. That's my plan, and it's that simple.
And
I think a month ago that would have been idea, but how do we do it now to not put more fear in our businesses, business owners, et cetera? That's,
well, let me make a comment about that, because this Ken, if I'm correct, this came out of the DDA meeting a while back, I think in November, where Jet was the first to admit that his buildings, because I think we were talking about, you said in that meeting that we had, I think, 15 or 18 business licenses from his building, and his response was, oh, I've got way more tenants in there than that. And then that led to a discussion through the DDA where we talked about, Jed actually talked about doing an audit of
Yes.
all the businesses. So this was actually his idea.
Correct.
But to me,
but
I
I'm not
hear,
just
I
speaking,
hear
I'm not
two-
just
I'm not
speaking of
sure
just
this is-
Jed's.
Excuse me.
No, wait, let me
I-
finish.
don't
no,
think this
excuse me,
is
excuse me.
his
Right.
I'm not just
Right.
speaking of
Hello,
Jed's
excuse
business,
me,
I'm
excuse me,
speaking of
excuse me.
all of the
Excuse me.
businesses,
Hello,
okay?
hello.
So it's not just Jed's.
Hello. So this is
So,
what I'm trying to say, is
just
there's two
understand.
different things that's going on. One is the renewal of the license. That's one thing, and I think that should just be sent out to the people. The second thing is what was discussed in DDA was not the renewal of the not doing double duty. So I have to sort of agree, and how are you making that plan? Because one doesn't mean do the other. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
We talked about doing an audit of the businesses, but we didn't talk about doing an audit of the businesses while trying to get them to renew their license. That makes sense. That just,
Yeah.
that's making the clarity of it. I get what Councilwoman Stallings is saying, because one, for good measure, that would be the audit. Or that would be the audit. The renewal is
Never
something
call
totally,
anything an
totally
audit.
something different.
Yeah, like you said, the
Is that-
timing's
Never
not
call
right.
anything an
And
audit.
so, well, whatever.
Seriously,
the
you don't
words
want to be
are-
that, you want to be
What
that
did- what did
threatening.
you say?
But that was what the
Never call
audit,
anything an
that's what it was called in the DDA. I'm just
Yeah.
repeating exactly what the meeting, what it was called in the meeting. The visit to the businesses. It was something different. And I think the climate that we're in right now, or I would have to agree, is we might want to just hold off on doing any spontaneous visits. And I think that we should probably definitely have a plan of action of how we're going to do the visits to make sure what business has what license. And I think that it should just be really clean to do that.
It has to be clean, and then we need to know what you're doing. And really, that's all I was going to say before the gavel went down, was that it just needs to be clear to us so that we're not caught off guard again. And it can be done. It may be a means to renew this relationship with the businesses, but let's just do it right. And
Yeah, and
Okay,
as
thank
Frank
you.
suggested, I think that the timing may be off right now.
Friendly visit.
Yeah. But
absolutely
maybe
has.
later in the year after this is all
No,
resolved.
the thing about it is that the license do have to be renewed. It's just about having a
Simple.
plan.
No.
It's just about having a plan.
Just a plan.
And making it just clean and not trying to do both of them at the same time.
Right, I understand the renewal issue, but what I'm saying is the quote-unquote audit, and not to call it an audit, as Frank said, but of ones that we're missing, that probably should be done later, at a
That
later
has
time.
nothing, okay. That one
Well,
has
if
nothing.
I'm missing it,
The thing
explain it, I
about
don't
it
understand.
is because, one, we're overlapping another situation that I don't want to talk about right now because of what's going on.
Right,
So
we're
that's
saying the
just
same thing.
just
Bottom line is just a
We're saying
clear
the same thing.
plan.
just a plan.
Just a
That's
clear
all.
plan on
That's
how
all.
you're gonna do
Sit
it,
down.
so we'll know.
Thank you. Okay, so,
And a plan
Chair.
before you do it,
yes,
Madam Mayor,
okay?
yes.
Before you.
I just want to thank Pam and Ken, because we had asked at our last meeting that this enforcement list, because we
Yeah.
hadn't been getting it for some period, and it was very informative to read it this time, and I appreciate it being in there. So I wanted to just thank you for including that in the material you provided the council.
Yeah, definitely.
So, we have the motion and it's been seconded. We had more than enough discussion, I guess. And now, all in favor of accepting the, department reports?
Aye.
Say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Is there anyone that's in the audience that would like to bring forward any issues that are not on the agenda tonight? Go ahead, sir.
Come on up.
Come and say your name and your address, please.
Peter Stefan, 26444 Meadowwood Court South. Keep Lathrup Village beautiful is my
Yeah.
focus. And brought this up before, and that is rubbish collection, since we were talking about rubbish collection. Most of our neighbors use a trash container to put the trash in to get picked up. Even if it isn't a very good-looking trash container, like my neighbor across the street, but at least he puts it in a container. We all have recycling bins, either the yellow top ones or the green bins, okay? And we put our stuff in there. We have commercial properties, though, that don't use a bin, don't use a waste receptacle, and they put it in a ditch or on the lawn. It blows into the wind, and we don't like looking at it. Now, you brought up the MIR or the MRI place, and that was awful, but that's an example of something very extreme. But we've had plastic bags sitting on the curb from Saturday night till Monday, when they came and used the taxpayers' rubbish collection to pick up their rubbish, because they don't have a dumpster or a commercial contractor picking up their rubbish. I also get on my neighbors, because I knock on their door, I ask them very nice, don't come and pick it up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and keep your lids closed, okay? We got possums, we got raccoons, we've got skunks, we've got squirrels, and any lunch article that gets put into the bin gets dragged out and is in our yard. So I pick up the litter, pick up the litter, pick up the litter,
I agree.
and put it in a trash receptacle, and then on Sunday night, put it out. So I'd like to encourage some encouragement as far as keeping Lathrup beautiful by at least buying from Home Depot or somewhere a trash receptacle and put it in there. Now, if your business is generating so much garbage, okay, and you can't keep it inside, all right, then maybe you got to get a dumpster, okay? So I would just encourage, let's not let it fly all around. The critters get in there, we're spreading bad things around the neighborhood we shouldn't do. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Is there an ordinance about, because I'm concerned about a couple of my neighbors too. I'm starting to see white bags on the lawn. But is there an ordinance that you have to have trash in a container?
Yeah,
And if not, can we make it?
I'm looking at it right now because Peter pointed it out, the pickup, you have to put them in by, no, it has to be out no earlier than 4 p.m. the day before, and then it has to be returned no later than sunrise the day following collection.
Peter's referred to a number of businesses that are sticking that out there, like when they close for business on Friday night. They stick it out there, and it sits there in the right-of-way somewhere, or the ditch. I've seen them too.
because that businessman is not going to be back there until sometime Monday morning, after when he thinks the trash people will have come by. My concern is we make a lot of these guys put dumpsters out for their buildings. And I don't know why we're letting the other businesses, and I think a number of those are along 12 Mile in particular, I see them.
It's getting terrible.
Yeah, along Southfield too, I have the
Yeah.
same issue right next to my house.
Terrible.
And to answer Councilwoman Stallings' question, yes, the answer is the ordinance in place requires that refuse be placed in an eligible refuse service unit, which is an approved refuse bag or 35-gallon maximum capacity watertight container of substantial construction with tight-fitting lids and lifting handles. No container and its contents can weigh over 60 pounds.
If I don't have enough trash cans, he tells me I
So
can go to
that
the
can,
store.
that can be a part of what we do in our quarterly about trash, because it is getting
Mhm.
ridiculous. So it does have to be in a,
Well, no, he said
Or-
suitable bag.
Yeah.
He didn't say
Approved refuse
suitable.
bag
He
or
said-
35-gallon maximum capacity.
What was the bag quote?
Eligible refuse service unit, which is an approved refuse bag or 35-gallon maximum capacity watertight container.
what does that mean?
So it's a bag or
So it's a bag or 35-gallon garbage
Or
can.
Any garbage bag?
Sounds like it.
Unapproved by someone.
Approved by whomever, I'm not sure who does the approval,
You
but.
can put it in a bag and not just putting a box out there and it is,
Well,
people get in it.
yeah, part of the problem, Peter, what we have, Peter, is, people put bags out there, or the business next door to the house puts bags out there, and then the animals get to it and it's dragged all over the lawns. So, one thing I would suggest, you may or may not have luck. I talked to the owner of the building next to me, and I said, can you please not put it in bags? And they stopped putting it in bags. So they put it in containers.
But
That was something.
technically, from the way that the ordinance reads, they can have it in garbage cans or
Bags.
bags.
Right,
So
but they were able to work with me, so.
Understand, you're not gonna go around to every business and
No.
ask that, correct?
No.
Okay,
it's just-
so here's my thing, which I'm finding very interesting, is that for Brandon, we are very happy to hear see the enforcement list, but I don't see anything on this enforcement list regarding any businesses that have trash issues. And there's ongoing trash issues with businesses.
Well, I just had one, I got a call on Friday about one.
That's an
and-
ongoing issue, though.
Mhm.
So I'm saying that it's just, when it comes to looking at this enforcement, and we're talking about code enforcement, we need to be consistent and, just another word, I'm losing my mind, consistent and, I forgot. what- Uniform in what we're doing, because it's not, I see that there's a lot of trash issues for residents, but I really don't see in this list there's anything for businesses. And from what
Right.
Councilwoman Stallings is saying, what Councilman Canner is saying, there is issues in garbage, and what Peter's saying, garbage from the businesses, and we have code enforcement that doesn't seem to see the garbage behind the businesses or on the side of the streets from the businesses, so,
Right, it goes
He
back.
comes on Wednesdays
and Fridays.
and Fridays. If he comes on Friday, there's absolutely no reason why that one on MRI, behind MRI
Right.
building shouldn't have been
Right,
sold.
right, the
Here's
time
my,
and
here's
It
my
is-
question though regarding
it
that, because if
is-
it's a trash issue and it only comes on Wednesdays and Fridays, we have a slew of trash issues in our enforcement list, so this is what, where's it?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. That's
It's all
what caught my
residential.
attention, because I'm starting to see more trash cans sitting out. And I agree, there should be some for the businesses as well. So it's two major issues.
We'll
Where
talk to the
attention
code
has to be
enforcement
paid to.
officer.
It
Thank you.
Goes back to
Yeah.
the conversation at the last meeting about code enforcement.
And code enforcement will be on our agenda
Agenda,
on
yeah.
Monday. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it had to be tabled. We'll
Yeah.
just take it
Yeah.
up, but we will be discussing it. Yes, ma'am.
Debbie Holtland Dunn, 27440 Lathrop. I have a couple things. The first thing is what I ask every time I'm here. What is going on with the end of my street, Lathrop and 11 Mile? Are they really working on that, or is it just an open field of dirt?
They have pulled their permits. My understanding, and Ken could probably answer this better, they have pulled the permits and they are supposed to start the wall. The wall is the first thing going up. They've been doing the underground work. I think Ken, did they get their improvement for the underground work now?
No, that the inspection was supposedly scheduled on the day of that big snowstorm, so they had to postpone it, and they just haven't called to reschedule it. But
Okay,
that is the first thing that's gonna happen, is the wall on the north side of that property.
will be going up. They have started pulling permits for that.
I'm very happy that I am not the man in the house right next to that, because it's starting to feel like it's a 5-year plan before they get anything done. And as you can tell, I'm frustrated. I have been voted in my part of Lathrup to talk about the snow removal for this year. I was here earlier and I did explain to my neighbors that there was a problem with the salt situation, but we had people getting stuck in our streets because I don't know what happened this year with snow removal. I've been here over 20 years, and I live on Lathrup Boulevard. It's a main street, and it was awful. I don't know how it was down by your end, but it was awful this year. So I just wanted to let you guys know. If it's a matter of who we had, maybe we should look for somebody else, but we've never had that kind of problem. And I had a third thing, but I can't remember what it was, so sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gosh, there's so much I would love to say,
Don't
but
do it.
I know. Okay, so it just, the inside of my lip is bleeding right now. So, let's see. It's not your fault.
What we should say, though, is that it's on our minds, too, and we're looking into it.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to think we're listening and then we're not going to do anything about it. We're all,
Trust me, it
it's
is.
not, we're actively thinking about it and working on it. Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
We've had
Including
deep
the chief, he
conversations.
noticed too.
This
Yeah.
was like right now. I'm very happy that there's no snow out. Every time that it snows, I get more gray right in my temple area. So let's just say.
Yeah, I'm looking too.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. Okay. So
What?
where are we? We are now moving on to.
I'm great.
Huh?
Yeah.
The sidewalk, can I just sit right here? The other problem that we have, and we've had it since our sewers were repaired, reconstructed, our area, Lathrup, from California to almost to 11 Mile. Since they did all the work to make the drainage systems better, the amount of flooding that we have on our sidewalks, and so now, because of the flooding, the brand new sidewalks are all starting to crack.
Wow.
And so, and this was not a problem we had before the, all the remodeling was done for whatever they did for the drainage system. So, my neighbors are not happy.
I will talk to the engineer about that.
Thank you.
Only 3.
Cool.
Grace helped me remember the third.
Thank you, Grace.
Well, because the sidewalk at Lathrup, Southfield and Roseland is all cracked up.
Okay.
And my car went up the hill and then bam.
Yeah.
The city manager or the interim city manager will be getting contact with the engineer, and I'm sure she'll give us when can we have a summary?
Well, we've
whatever.
already talked to the Roseland. That is a city street, so we're going to have to address that somehow of how we're going to have that fixed. I don't know if we're going to be able to cold patch it for now or if we're going to have to do something major with it. And that's going to be something that we'll probably have to come to the council for a road project repair or something.
And just FYI, the patching of the roads and things like that before that comes up, that's on our agenda for Monday also. So I know that's the next thing that's going to be. I can see. I knew it was coming next. I just know this.
Pam,
So, go ahead.
Just one more thing on the sidewalks and the flooding. One other thing that might be a good idea is to see about maybe in the spring having DPS do some type of, well, I'm going to use the right term, Ken, swale maintenance, the culverts, to teach people how to maintain those, because a lot of the problems with backing up has to do with the fact that there are roots. You know, across the street from where I live, there's a tree that's blocking the exit of the water on the downslope. And so on the upslope, the whole length of the street, it's backed up over the sidewalk. And if they cleared that out, that would go away.
But
so
if
I
I'm
think
not mistaken, also with, excuse me, for the DPS is also the trenches need to be dug deeper. Does that make sense? Is
they
that
have to
part
be,
of the
they have to be,
swell?
they have to be, they have to be slanted.
Pardon me?
That might, it depends on where you're talking about.
Because I know that I did talk to someone, you know, as a resident to DPS about my culvert, not for it to be cleaned or anything like that, but it's for why it was backing up like that.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing that he was saying, is that it has to be deeper. Maybe you can do a show on how to clean the culverts.
Well,
or how
we
the
were
culverts
gonna
are just-
talk to our DPS about them having come in and probably maybe do something on TV about how to clean them, or
Right.
maybe also having a class here in the city hall or something like that on how to take care of those culverts, because that we are finding is a big issue of that people not maintaining their culverts, so we are getting a lot of flooding because
And
of
just to
that.
kind of give, you know, to do the benefit of the doubt, we have newer residents that are in here, and one thing that I do know from other cities is that when it comes to the culverts between the sidewalk and the street, is usually the city's responsibility. So it does need to be reiterated to all the residents, that's your responsibility. So that might be another reason why they might not be cleaned out, because we just might not know that that's not, you know,
Yeah.
that's not how it goes.
Yeah,
And
So-
we have also put it in the newsletter on the culverts before too, so what we'll do is we'll put it in the newsletter, we'll get DPS in here to talk about it, and maybe we can have them film something on it too.
Yeah, you
Sounds
still have to
good.
go through those ones.
Hey,
So, go ahead.
Just one little tiny comment.
Okay.
Yep.
Do I have to get up?
Yep.
Anyways, if we are going to have a culvert improvement program, let's do a group buy, so everybody has to pay less. If you got a group coming out here to do a bunch of sidewalk work, like we've done in the past, if we do a culvert program, potentially we could have the homeowners pay less because the crew's out here,
And
they
doing
can
it.
run a rooter through there, their jet thing, and clean it out. A few years ago, we had a tremendous issue at our street where the basements were getting wet because we couldn't flow out because the commercial property was crushing the culvert and it couldn't get out. Well, they took care of it. But if we got a lot of these, let's get a group buy going.
And we do.
Okay.
so we
That
can do,
sounds good.
just do maintenance. So real quick, since we're on DPS and all of that, DPS did, there's trash all across, at the park across the street on El Dorado Place. It is so trashed. So if you could get them to clean that out, and on El Dorado, right off California,
I know
that
which one
park,
it is.
it is trashed. And the other thing that I'm concerned about is they fixed the street and they laid sod, but I think they laid the sod so late in the year that some of the sod is starting to lift up. So that's something we can talk about in the spring, but I know they're gonna have to come back.
No, if they were doing the road repairs, they mainly do those in the spring. Any roads or any sewer and water mains that they put in, they always come back and repair them in the spring.
So they're gonna come back and redo them.
They'll have to
All
look
right,
at
but the
them.
trash is there. Thank you.
Because we don't have any Board of Appeals to discuss, correct?
Right, you gotta accept the reports, I think, don't you?
Oh, I thought I did. Yeah, I already did that because
Yeah, we're under public comment.
you were under public comment.
Oh, that's right.
So now we'll move to the action request. So the city council will consider a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance adding the Motor Carrier Safety Act. City attorney.
All right, this is the same language that we presented last month for the first reading. This is the Motor Carrier Safety Act, which essentially we're asking that the council adopt an ordinance which adopts the state law by reference. What this will allow is the city police department to enforce the Motor Carrier Safety Act under local ordinance, which, as we talked about, condition of roads, this will help the city kind of police some of these overweight trucks, some of these vehicles traveling up and down Southfield Road that violate this Motor Carrier Safety Act. And this allows us to do it under local ordinance, and we have 1 or 2 officers trained. One currently trained for this type of enforcement.
Okay.
What are they enforcing?
Motor Carrier Act.
Specifically, there's a lot of,
They have bad equipment, they're overweight, whatever.
yeah, equipment violations on commercial vehicles, overweight violations seem to be the bulk of what,
They were not empowered to do it.
unsafe loads, things like that.
Plus, the revenue from the tickets
It's huge.
stays
It's
here.
huge.
Stays here.
Of course.
And didn't Officer Becker pull
If it-
somebody
if it's
over
the state
$4,700
police
worth of tickets and we couldn't collect
to
on that?
ransom.
That's true.
So is anybody going to make a motion
So
on?
moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion now regarding the Motor Carrier Act?
No, we
No?
did it.
No, you
before.
did it before. Okay, yeah. So,
Losing that.
I know, this is slowly going. So all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Next, we have the city council will consider a contract with Police Chief McKee, which we never got to.
So I'll make a motion to move that to, move the consideration of a contract with Police Chief McKee to the next city council meeting.
You want to table it?
To table it.
Do we table it, or do we?
No.
what do we do?
You could table it to a date certain.
Okay.
So we're gonna so we would.
Why are we tabling?
Because we haven't even discussed it. We haven't even seen the summary from the
Oh,
labor
all right.
attorney. We only have a contract and there was no
That
discussion.
was in our packet.
I mean, I think we all went over it, but it was still
Yeah,
not
I
a
know.
discussion around it whatsoever. So
So we don't have time to talk about it, is that,
Do we,
okay.
I
do
don't,
we not have time, or I'm asking?
I don't believe the things in the contract is I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, it's detailed, no question.
No, it's, my understanding is that the council may have questions regarding the specifics that are contained within the contract. The labor attorney, not myself, is the one that reviewed this contract. So
Okay.
there's no summary from him, and he is not present to answer any questions you might have.
So you're saying he should have submitted a summary? I'm trying to get clarification.
Yeah,
Well, you submitted the.
or be here to answer questions that you may have regarding the contract.
Okay.
Now,
so
that's a reason to table it.
absolutely.
Yes.
So
Okay, so
it's
I
been
agree.
motioned to table. Do you have a second?
Second, because I do have questions.
Okay. If you have any, is there any discussion?
Yes, should the labor attorney be here when
I'll
we
see if
take
he
it
can
off the
make it.
table? I mean, I don't know what that protocol is.
I'll see if he can make it.
What Scott's saying is that whenever, I mean, I'm just assuming, is that whenever we have, or we introduce a contract, normally there's someone to speak about the contract at the meetings if we had any question. So whenever he can get here,
Yeah.
then we can discuss the contract.
Okay.
That's fair? Fair?
Absolutely.
Okay, so is there any more discussion? Did I do the motion in a second?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion regarding it?
Well,
Now,
you
this
got
is
a
to
motion to
table,
table, that's no
correct?
discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
No discussion allowed.
motion, you second it?
Right.
To
All in
table.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and I think he left, if I don't see him in the audience anymore. We'll consider a motion to appoint to the Board of Review. I will refer to Pam, excuse me, the interim city manager.
Yes, we had a longtime resident that has been on my board of review who has just sold his house, so we have to appoint a new member. We only have two currently. This would be my third board member. And so that he can take appointments, so he could be for the March board of review. Mr. Siddiqui has shown interest in the term for the Board of Review, and he has given his application, and I am presenting it to you for approval.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to accept the appointment of
I
Mr.
would-
I make a motion to.
And I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, since there's no discussion, all in favor of appointing Salim Siddiqui to the Board of Review? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. City Administrator, before you say anything, do we, Scott, do we go into closed door while we're still meeting or after the meeting is over?
Yeah, it requires a motion to move into closed session, and then a motion to come out of closed session, and then you can close the meeting.
You want to do that
Okay, so I think before we go into the administrator, I would take a motion to close the meeting, to go in a closed door meeting.
I second.
I didn't do the
Oh,
motion.
I make a
You know.
motion to, should you make the motion or some?
I'm not making the
I
motion.
second.
Okay.
Motion
I make a
second. All in
motion,
favor?
I make a motion to go into a closed door meeting.
Second.
So you
All
didn't
in,
want us
To address legal issues.
And I'll say to discuss Oakland County Circuit Court case number 2018-163741CH.
thank you. And all in favor of going into closed doors, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We'll be right back. Okay, now we're back from closed door meeting, so I would take a motion to open up the city council meeting again.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of returning to regularly scheduled council meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. So we left off at the city administrator to give us updates.
Wednesday evening, we have our, we are going to have a concert here at City Hall. Ken, is it from 6 to 8? 7 to 9, I'm sorry. 7 to 9, and it's going to be the Reverend Jones is going to be performing storytelling and playing music, so that will be one of our events for Black History Month. We also are going to have our meet and greet on Thursday for the new city administrator candidates. That will be from 6 to 8 on Thursday night in the community room. Interviews will be on Friday from 1 to 6, and the public is welcome to the interviews also. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Man, okay.
Sorry about that.
Quick question.
Yes,
I thought the interviews were gonna be closed.
they cannot be.
You have
closed.
to be
Okay,
open.
so they can't participate.
They can
That's
come
right.
and observe the
Okay,
interview.
got you. We just want to be clear on that.
Yes, you
Okay.
can come and observe the
Council
interview.
does the interviewing.
We do the
Yes.
interviewing.
Candidates do the answering.
Yes.
Correct. City attorney, do you have anything else to say to us?
Surprisingly, yeah, I do. I was asked earlier today about whether or not a candidate could interview via Skype. And we've talked about this in the past, that I strongly discourage council members' participation in voting at a meeting via Skype. There is proposed legislation that would prohibit specifically participation in a council meeting through Skype, but as of right now, there is nothing that would prohibit an applicant from interviewing via Skype.
Okay.
So if you want to conduct an interview with someone, I would say that we could do that as long as we have the appropriate resources to be able to hear them and communicate with them directly.
Okay, so that's something that we're gonna have to talk to
And
Jim.
I did talk to
Oh,
him
okay.
about it already, and he said that there's different ways we can do it. We can do it via the TV live, we can do it via, he's gonna work with me on
Oh,
it.
okay. All right.
Jim
Nelson.
Nelson.
Yep.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. And my favorite scary part is, does the council have any unfinished or new business that you would like to present or come
No.
speak about?
What about code enforcement?
Well, we're gonna,
Code
need
enforcement
to
was
do-
on our study session for 6 o'clock. And so what we're gonna do is postpone that till Monday to our study session, because I think that's more intense than the time that was allotted.
Okay.
Was there something specific that you're asking about code
Well, I
enforcement?
wanted to address what Mayor Pro Tem had brought up last month regarding the observation and the data that he brought in for us to review.
Oh,
we
you mean
have
for
to
the
take action.
actual,
Yeah.
analysis.
Analysis, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we were gonna talk about, but.
I think that, yeah, we'll wait. If it's okay with you, we'll postpone it
Yeah, that's
until
fine.
Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be at our,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Which one?
Mayor, I just received something. The group wants to know if the city council may address the group.
I think the business owners
And that's-
that remain here are interested if the city council is going to address them and make a statement. They've waited and they wanted to know if there's going to be any statement made by city council.
Absolutely, and that's gonna be under the, city attorney is going to address the group. or can address the group. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take specific questions, again, because the subject matter is currently something that's being dealt with in the circuit court. If they want to ask me specific questions after the meeting, I can do my best to answer them, but without getting into any specifics.
All right.
So, did you all hear that? Oh.
I mean, I guess nothing, basically.
No, can you repeat it again, because she didn't.
I said I can't, I don't know who's I'm talking to, but, oh, okay. I said I can't address any of the specifics that are involved with the pending circuit court litigation. I mean, I can try to answer some questions you may have after the meeting, but I understand that there's only so much I can and can't say at this point.
Do you want to let them know that business will be as usual? I mean, if you come in for your business license, we will give you your business license, so.
I'll go back and edit that tomorrow then, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we will keep business as usual.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Mayor, if
Yes,
I
ma'am.
could say something before, after all council have said what they
Let me
want to
ask
say.
one more. Do you have anything?
Just thank you for everyone that attended the Ask the Chief coffee hour. It was very good information, very informative, and thanks to Detective Zhang did excellent, and Fire Chief, and it was very good conversation. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. The last thing.
Bruce?
I think I'm good.
Okay, one thing is that I was going to say something about Betty Stone stuff. You want to say something?
I just want to ask you, the Skype interview, is that a part of the
Pam is
Friday?
if she
the
could arrange that. or not.
Friday.
That's part of the Friday interviews.
That's the 5 o'clock one.
Right. Do we need to discuss that prior to that happening, as far as how we're gonna, gauge the candidate, not just on a video or, it's gonna be kind of one. Yeah, it's really one dimensional. It's just you're not gonna be able to discern, based on body language or anything. It depends on what the viewing is. That's the angle. You got to consider all that. So.
I think all that information would go towards your deliberation of how the candidates did during the interview.
I just
don't know
want to
if it
make
would
sure
be
we
a
cover it.
prerequisite, but yeah, it would definitely be something.
Because that's the first for me. I've never Skyped interviewed
Well, the reason
anyone.
why we had to go to this particular candidate is because one dropped out.
I see.
And so now this is a candidate that does not live in Michigan. And it's, already costing the city for 3 candidates to come. And I don't think we were paying for flying someone in town. So that's why the question was asked.
Yep.
What's wrong with hot air balloons?
I have no idea.
I guess I do have
Okay,
one question.
I get it.
And maybe we do, and I'm just blanking because my mind is going blank, but did we ever get full resumes for the candidates? Or will
Not
we? Will
yet.
we
Not
be
yet.
getting-
You will
Not
get them
yet.
on Friday.
Get those on Friday. Okay.
Friday. Friday.
I told you, I said I might have blanked out for a second.
Friday.
You get the
Okay, we get the full resume.
Yes.
full resumes will be on
I
Friday.
heard the interview questions. I
And
didn't
the
hear
interview questions will be on Friday,
I
right
didn't hear the-
before
Okay.
we have
Got
the
it.
Thank you.
interviews.
And I will
Okay.
release the names tomorrow on the website.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
After you, now, before you do that, that's been cleared by the candidates, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure.
We have their list of who's, and when they're being interviewed in that, yes.
Okay, all right, well then good, you'll know tomorrow.
Okay, the
So-
update, that last candidate, we don't have an update for that person.
Yeah, we do.
We did. There
was the
6 of
asterisk.
them. There was an asterisk.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You want to,
You want me to mention
Yes.
Betty? On a kind of a sad note, we received word here at the city offices, I think it was
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, that the wife of our former city administrator from Jerry Stone, his wife Betty, passed away. Jerry was our first city administrator. He was here for many years and serving in that regard. And Betty, God love her, was he jokingly called her his secretary, but she used to do a lot of the extra little things, you know, a resolution and done in hand calligraphy, this kind of thing, things that were, you know, put a nice flourish on certain things that the city did. So Betty was very active in a number of clubs, the Women's Club. She and her husband Jerry both active in the Lions Club. All throughout their life here in Lathrup Village, raising their family and so on. Both of them have been extremely active and productive citizens in our city. So we share with Jerry. We don't have details on the arrangements yet on Betty, but as soon as we do, we'll post it on the city website so that interested parties may know if there's visitation, when it is, and if there's a funeral, when it is, and where it is, et cetera. So again, I know on behalf of the council, I extend our sorrow at this loss of such a productive part of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Does anyone have anything else? Madam Clerk?
I would move adjournment.
Thank you. Thank you,
Oh,
Madam
she's
Mayor.
got to get to talk.
I'd just
Okay.
like to mention that there will
Sorry.
be a special election on May 8th for the sinking millage fund that the school district is proposing,
that's right.
which will increase your taxes. Well, I shouldn't say it that way, but it will tax be a levy on your taxes of 70% per $1,000. So if you'd like more information on that, I have some, but not much. You could probably go to the school district or their website and get more information on that. So it's a special election on May 8th. And the last day.
Can I ask you, is this a renewal of a former bond issue, or is this a brand new one?
Brand new one.
So it is an increase?
Yes, it is.
It's 70 cents.
If it had been because in the past, they've brought renewals of past bond issues or whatever.
This is a sinking fund for technology.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In building.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So I wanted
Me too.
everyone to know that. And if
I'm
you're not
sorry.
registered, please register by April 9th. That's the last day for registration for the May 8th
And the
election.
voting will take place here for Lathrup Village residents?
Yes.
So in our normal
Same
precincts?
location, yes.
So maybe, was it the first study session in April, maybe a school board person might be able to?
I was hoping so. I was going to try and make one of their meetings, but it happens at the same time we have planning commission, so I can't.
During the special meeting, that was just Tuesday,
Yeah.
maybe it's recorded. But yeah, we'll both work on trying to find a school board member to come and speak about it.
So I just wanted everyone to know and be aware, and I'm mailing my absent voter application, should go out the beginning of next week, so look for those. Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's nothing else,
Motion to adjourn?
yes. Are you giving it?
I'm giving.
Sorry.
I'm giving.
I have a second.
Second.
All in-
Third?
All in favor for adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, meeting adjourned.